Welcome to the NRL previews for round 18 of the 2023 season, and it's Beanie for Brain Cancer round in support of the Mark Hughes Foundation as well too. You're looking good, Josh.
Thank you. I've got a lot of compliments, not from you, but
it's the pom-pom for me.
Reckon? I know. Yeah, me too.
Well, it's great. You can get these on the Mark Hughes website as well too, so you can help and support the Mark Hughes Foundation. But we're kicking off Thursday night with an old rivalry and local derby in the Sharks and the Dragons. Josh, this game always produces close results. Sharks have now used up all their buys, so they should be fresh. But how do they manage their run going into the finals, kicking off with the Dragons?
Obviously, can't help injuries going forward. That's purely unlucky in some cases. But, you know, with the Sharkies, just want to play consistent footy going into the finals. I feel like all their buys done and dusted is pretty good for them. You know, taking it game by game, the old cliche, and obviously building more and more confidence. And for me, Nico Hines, you know, he's kind of shrugged off what's happened in the Origin period, and for him to step up now is the most important time for the Sharks. And, you know, they're just star-studded at the moment. They're all playing in form, and you know, like you said, battle the Shire. This game's always going to have some fireworks, and for me, the Sharks are going to really come out firing on Thursday night.
All right, well, let's take a peek at the Dragons. They've been swimming in off-field distractions.
Yep.
They've been showing signs of some improvement, but defensive efforts are probably one of the biggest things that they need to tighten.
Yeah, defensive efforts, obviously a lot goes behind the scenes with that, you know, off the back of having a really tight team. And yeah, there have been a lot of distractions with head office and obviously with the change of the coaching staff. But, you know, for me, they can't use that as an excuse. You know, the boys have to really come together, and end of the day, it's those 17 guys that are taking the field. So yeah, it's not going to be easy, but there shouldn't be added motivation for these boys. You know, it's the battle of the Shire, and particularly against their arch rivals, against the Sharkies. So hopefully they can come together and come up with a good performance.
Pick for this one?
I'm going to say the Sharks. I feel like everyone's going to go with the Sharks this week, just purely on just having stability in the club. You know, they're pretty fresh. They do have Toby Rudolph on the reserves as well, so he'll add a massive boost for the Sharks. And if he plays Cup, he'll be with me this week, so I can't wait for that. But if he's in the team, it'll be a big boost.
Perfect. All right, well, thank you so much, Josh. It's unmissable matchups taking place all weekend. If you want to see the match live, head to nrl.com/tickets. If you can't get to the game, you can watch it on Channel 9, Foxtel, Sky New Zealand or KO. Kickoff is at 7:50 p.m. Welcome to the NRL previews for round 18 of the 2023 season, and of course it is the Beanies for Brain Cancer round in support of the Mark Hughes Foundation. I'm Renee Gartner, and wearing the other beanie very well is our expert Josh Mansour. How are you, Josh?
Is that a compliment?
It was a compliment.
I'll take it.
Take it. It's the only one you're going to get.
They don't come by often.
All right, well, let's have a look at this next game. The Warriors are taking on South, and they come into this game with a lot of confidence after piling on the points last round.
Yep.
Add to that, they'll be playing in front of a sold-out crowd in front of Auckland. Auckland and New Zealand are just loving their footy at the moment. It's going to be a big test for them going up against South this week, though. Yeah,
it'll be a big test. Souths were disappointed last week, and you know, there might be a bounce-back factor in play. But for me, the Warriors, definitely their attack was highlight last week, but the defence has been the highlight, in my opinion, all year. Their scramble D has been fantastic. They're just really working together as a tight-knit group, and Andrew Webster has been doing an outstanding job there so far. And for me, they're just playing in a lot of form. From 1 to 17, everyone that steps on that field is just playing their best and playing out of their skin. And I feel like Shah's Nickel Cogstad has been playing outstanding as well, especially at the back.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's look over to South. They've been far from the best of late.
Yep.
Is it a mid-form slump that we're looking at?
Yes and no. They had a couple of key guys come back from Origin last week. The fatigue would have come into play with Damien and Cam, but for me, they did have one of the toughest schedules in the first half of the season, so they might be fading away just slightly. And obviously, Latrell not being there, he adds a lot of points for him. So yeah, they were disappointing. They were a bit flat last week, but they got a massive opportunity to take on the Warriors. And yeah, it's going to be a big occasion for the Warriors. Like you said, it's going to be sold out there, so they have to come with their A game, or they're going to cop another beating.
All right. Well, I feel like you were favouring Warriors when you were talking at the start. Are you going to sit with them? Or?
No, well, listen, I'm always going to back the boys at Souths, but like if I'm going to take my bias hat off, I'm feeling the Warriors. I feel like just their energy, particularly playing at home, is just on the rise at the moment, and they're just playing great footy, and they're just playing out of their skin. So I'm going to have to say the Warriors.
All right, thank you so much, Josh. Unmissable matchups taking place all weekend. This game is sold out, so stay tuned to nrl.com for all your news and updates. But if you're not one of the lucky ones to get a ticket, you can watch it on Foxtel, Sky New Zealand or KO. Kickoff is at 6 p.m. Welcome to the NRL previews for round 18 of the 2023 season, and it is Beanie for Brain Cancer round in support of the Mark Hughes Foundation. So make sure you grab yours. I'm Renee Gartner, and I'm joined by Josh Mansour. And Josh, two teams with plenty of history. I know you know it well. The 2020 grand final combatants. You played this. Oh, look, there we are.
Oh, thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, that was a good part of the game, but obviously a harsh result in the end. But thanks for opening up those old wounds for me, guys.
You're more than welcome. You're more than welcome. I'm here for you, though.
Thank you.
We're now in 2023. Both teams in the top four as well, too. Here, the Storm, they've been a little bit up and down, but they're by their standards, I guess you could say, they're still probably pretty good on our standards. Yeah. Bellamy, he seems to have corrected the ship. Also, they get their Origin players back for this game.
Yeah, which is a massive boost. Massive matchup with Jerome and Cam Munster yet again. We saw that matchup in Origin, and Cam got the upper hand there. So now he's got another opportunity to kind of get one on Jerome. But for me, the Storm have been very good as of late. They had a disappointing loss against the Cowboys a few weeks back, which was very unlike Melbourne. But it looks like they got themselves back on their feet. And Cam Bellamy is just the good thing about the Melbourne Storm, they don't lose 2 games in a row. So Melbourne look like they're steering the ship in the right direction. Finally.
Well, this could be the game that they upset that myth, because we talk about it all the time. So let's have a look at the Panthers now. They're showing great depth, resilience through Origin and injuries. This road trip is arguably going to be the hardest one for them. Yeah, well, the biggest thing for the Panthers is getting through this Origin period. You know, they've got so many players backing up, and for me, it's just going to have to, those players have to really back up and stay fit and healthy for the remainder of these last few games, particularly around Origin 3. The big matchup against Melbourne, there's a bit of a rivalry there. There's always a big matchup, particularly playing down there. So one thing's for certain, make sure you get your beanies, because it's going to be freezing. It is a tough away trip, but I'm sure the Panthers will be up for it. All right, so who are you going to pick for this one? Can Melbourne lose 2 in a row? Can the Panthers come on top? I can't see the Melbourne Storm losing this game, particularly playing at home. I feel like they are playing with a lot of form at the moment. I feel like the forwards are really laying that platform. It's definitely got to be a big clash up in the middle against Fisher Harris and Big Nelson, so I can't wait to watch that. But just the fact that the Melbourne Storm are playing at home, and during this period for the Panthers, I feel like the Melbourne Storm will get the upper hand. Okay, well, all your Panthers mates are watching this one, so thank you very much, Josh. Unmissable matchups taking place all weekend. If you want to see this one live, head to nrl.com/tickets. If you can't get to the game, remember you can watch it on Channel 9, Foxtel, Sky New Zealand or KO. Kickoff is at 8 p.m. Welcome to the NRL previews for round 18 of the 2023 season, and Beanie for Brain Cancer Round in support of the Mark Hughes Foundation. I'm Renee Gartner and I'm joined by Josh Mansour. And Josh, we now turn our attention to the Raiders and Titans. Canberra had a very gritty win against the Roosters, and they now have the benefit of playing at home as well too. A resurgent Titans outfit. It's going to be a hard matchup. Yeah, it will be a hard matchup. The Titans got a great win last week against the Broncos and shutting them only to 12 points. So for me, the defence was always the biggest issue with the Titans. But I do feel like Canberra, they're always in the game. But the biggest problem for me is that they always try and keep the other team in the game for some reason. Like, they just can't shut them out and just close off the game. So for me, that's a big test for the Canberra Raiders. And I know one thing, they do play well at home. It is a bit of a fortress down in Canberra. And one thing the Titans don't do well is play away. So it'll be a good, interesting matchup there. All right, well, let's dive into the Titans. They're chasing their 3rd win on the trot. They're bolstered by the return of their captain, Big Tino. It's going to make a huge impact on the side going up against the Raiders. Yeah, Big Tino up against Joe Tarpon, how good. Definitely be a big matchup and a massive inclusion for the Titans there. And like I said, the Titans always can score points. There's no doubt about that. But for me, it was the defence that was worrying me. Keeping the Broncos to 12 points last week was a massive plus for me, and that's no easy feat, particularly against the Broncos. That can't change this week. They've got to stay consistent. They've got to stick to their processes, particularly in defence, and I'm pretty sure that the points will roll on after that. Yeah, because there's going to be some good matchups across the board here. Yeah, definitely, particularly in the outside backs. I feel like the Titans there's a lot of opportunities in the outside backs, and they can score a few points there, particularly with David Fifita. His relationship with Kieran Foran is just flourishing. It's just getting better and better each week, and I feel like that's what he was lacking. It's a nice steady half, just give him some early ball and taking him in, deep into the line. So David Fifita is going to have a big game in my opinion, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of points scored in this game. Okay, pick? Yeah, it's a bit of a tough one. I like the Titans just because of their performances last week. I thought the defensive efforts was really good, and particularly with the star power, I should say, in scoring a lot of points. I'm leaning towards the Titans. All right, you've heard it here first. Thank you very much, Josh. Unmissable matchups are taking place all weekend. If you want to see this match live, head to nrl.com/tickets. If you can't get to the game, you can watch it on Foxtel, Sky New Zealand or KO. Kickoff is at 3 p.m. Welcome to the NRL previews for round 18 of the 2023 season and Beanie for Brain Cancer round in support of the Mark Hughes Foundation. We are unpacking the matchup between the Cowboys and West Tigers, and this could be a revenge game for the Cowboys after losing 66-18 about 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, that was a bit of a big loss, particularly for the Cowboys fans. Very disappointing. I didn't see it coming. I really didn't. Obviously, the Tigers, the way they've been playing, I wasn't expecting that scoreline, but for me, definitely a big grudge match. In my eyes, I always look at this game a bit of a rivalry game, so we'll see what happens. But with the Cowboys, they had a massive win last week against the Souths, keeping Souths to only 6 points, so that's a big plus for me. The Cowboys playing consistent now, hopefully, string a few wins together. That's going to be the biggest test. And for me, the question was always going about the Cowboys is when they're going to show up. When they're going to replicate that form they showed last year. And you know what, they might start kicking into gear now, and perfect opportunity against the West Tigers at home.
Come home with a wet sail, you think?
I hope so. We'll see.
All right, well, let's have a look at the West Tigers. They've shown some fight in recent weeks, but injuries has been testing their depth across the field. Can the motivation of that win 6 weeks ago be enough to get them to rise to this occasion? I
feel like they'll come into this game with a bit of confidence. There, definitely. I feel like they like their chances. They have had a few injuries and they've had a bit of bad luck the last couple of weeks, but they can't use it as an excuse. It's the NRL. There's no excuses these days. So for me, it's going to be definitely a big matchup. And the halves have to step up here. There's been a lot of distractions with Luke Brooks, obviously with him leaving the club, but I feel like that's added motivation for him. He wants to make these last remaining games as a Tiger the best and leave on the best of terms. So it is a good trip up north. So it'll be a big matchup. Make sure you tune in, and hopefully we can get a lot of points scored in this game.
I should have just got you to wrap up.
You reckon?
All right, as he said it, unmissable matchups taking place all weekend. If you want to see the match live, head to nrl.com/tickets. If you can't get to this game, you can watch it on Foxtel, Sky New Zealand or KO. Kickoff is at 5:30 p.m. Saturday. Welcome to the NRL previews for round 18 of the 2023 season and Beanie for Brain Cancer round in support of the Mark Hughes Foundation as well too. I'm Renee Gartner and this is Josh Mansour, our model that we've brought in today.
Thank you.
But also pretty handy around a football field, so we're going to dive right into the next one. This one's at the Gabba and it is an all-Queensland affair. It's the Broncos taking on the Dolphins. You would love to play the Gabba.
Oh, 100%. They've had the opportunity to, but it'll definitely be hopefully a sold-out crowd this week, and it's an all-Queensland affair, so yeah, hopefully get down to the game and enjoy the footy.
All right, well, let's tackle the Broncos first. Kevin Walters was very unhappy, very passionate when it came to the post-match talk. He's promised that it's going to be better performance this week. They do lose Reece Walsh through suspension for a couple of weeks, though. Yeah,
big loss losing Reece Walsh for the next 3 games, which is disappointing, but they do have a handy replacement. There has been some vision of Tristan Saylor training at fullback this week, so in my opinion, he's a very good candidate, but they've also got Jesse Arthurs in the 18th man, and he can slot easily on the wing and put maybe Selwyn Cobbo at the back there. So just a wait and see kind of thing. So I know obviously going back to Kevin Walters being very, very emotional in the sheds after the game. He's a proud Bronco. We all know that. And the biggest thing and my biggest worries for the Broncos is do they do another fadeaway? This time last year, they were in 4th position. They were flying high, and they just have to keep playing consistent and keep turning up for games as the weeks go on. So if they can get through this next few games, particularly during Origin period, they'll be flying high.
All right, tough one against Wayne Bennett's emotional men as well too over at the Dolphins. Phenomenal start to the season, but they hit a wall, but they were also littered with injuries as well too. The local derby is enough to get players up as well too, but a few familiar faces returned to the Dolphin side.
Yes, there is. Obviously with the Dolphins, there have been a few injuries. They started so good, but then injuries started happening and they just couldn't pick up some form. And the biggest inclusion for me is Sean Sullivan. Him back steering the ship is a massive inclusion. They get Tezinu back on the wing as well. Hopefully he can get back into some good form, and the hammer. Hopefully they can unlock him, get him a few points on the board, and him in open space, he's just untouchable. You just can't catch him. He's an X factor, and he's one of the key men for the Dolphins. But yeah, just with the Dolphins, it's going to be a big game coming up against the Broncos. But Wayne Bennett will no doubt get them up and ready for this game.
All right, you're going to pick a side.
If I have to, I'll have to go with the Broncos.
You're normally a fins up.
I am. But yeah, the reason I'm leaning towards the Broncos, I can't see them losing 2 in a row. They are playing a very important game at the Gabba. It's all Queensland affair, and in my opinion, they need to get back on the saddle and hopefully get through the next couple of weeks during the Origin period.
I see the pun you did there. Broncos back on the saddle.
Like
nice. All right.
Back pocket.
Okay, well, there's unmissable matchups taking place all weekend. If you want to see this match live, head to nrl.com/tickets. Welcome to the NRL previews for round 18 of the 2023 season and Beanie for Brain Cancer round also. Today we're previewing the Bulldogs and Knights at Accor Stadium. I'm Renee Gartner and I'm joined by our 2023 Rugby League expert, Josh. Welcome.
Love the sound of that. Rugby League expert, how good. Keep it coming.
Just here for the morale, right? Okay, let's have a crack at the Bulldogs. They definitely needed the bye round that they've just come off.
Yeah.
Serraldo, you're a good friend of his. That bye would have boded quite well for the side.
Well, he preaches a lot about resilience, and they definitely have to show it here. They have a lot of injuries, particularly to their star man like Viliama Kikau, who added a lot of strike power down that left edge. They've got to find those points somewhere else. They've got to play simple footy, in my opinion. Don't make it too complicated on themselves, and just try not to compound the errors and penalties, and they can go close to winning a good game here against the Knights.
All right, there's going to be some good matchups across the park. We'll touch on that in a second. Over to the Knights. So they were hit by yet another frustrating loss last week, another close couple of points, which would be so frustrating for the side. They're desperately going to want this scout.
100%. And for me, with the Knights, I feel like they would have lost a lot of confidence, particularly out of last week's loss against the Panthers, who were definitely undermanned. And, for the Knights, it's the same old story, just not playing consistent footy. They should have had that win last week, in my opinion. It was definitely a scalp waiting to be taken there against the Panthers, but obviously it got away from them. And you know what, the Knights have possessed one of the best back lines in the comp. They definitely come out of yardage really well. You got Dominic Young there, you got Mansour on the wings, who are absolute metre eaters, and they just definitely need to keep putting up their hand and getting their team into good field position. So there are big key matchups. Obviously, you got Dominic Young up against Jacob Kiraz. Jacob Kiraz, I would have loved to see him playing fullback. I played a fullback with him in the Lebanon team, and I feel like the more he gets his hands on the ball, the better for the team. So he is a metre eater, and he'll definitely be looked on, hopefully this week for the Bulldogs.
What about the Battle of the Boot in Burton and Ponga?
Yeah, so that'll be interesting. I've been on the end for a few Birdo bombs. Fortunately enough, I've caught them, but yeah, they're definitely a big matchup there. Birdo's kicking game is probably one of the best in the comp, but Ponga has been playing with a lot of good form lately as well. So he was a bit missing last week, but hopefully he can step up to this challenge and rise when the Knights need him.
Okay, pick.
Yeah, this is a hard one. This is a very hard one. I feel like the Bulldogs, they definitely got a lot of effort in them. Effort's not their problem. Knights need more effort. If I had to lean towards a team, I'd probably have to go by the Knights just.
Okay, we finally got you there. I didn't think we were. All right, brilliant stuff as always. Thank you so much. Unmissable matchups taking place all weekend. If you want to see this match live, head to nrl.com/tickets. If you can't get to the game, you can watch it on Foxtel, Sky New Zealand or KO. Kickoff is at 2 p.m. Welcome to the NRL previews for round 18 of the 2023 season and Beanie for Brain Cancer round. The final game of the round, let's say, you're enjoying the beanie.
I'm loving it. It's pretty hot in this room, but I am loving it.
All right. Well, the final game lands us at Four Pines Park with Manly taking on the Roosters. Both sides standing side by side in 12th and 13th. I'm Renee Gartner and this is Josh Mansour. And this is going to be a tough one to unpack, Josh.
Yep.
Manly are fighting their way through the season. They've been disjointed with their lineup due to injury, but there's a few faces coming back this week.
Yeah,
positive.
A few faces, which is really good for your Manly Sea Eagles. They've had a really good week in terms of signing players, and re-signing players, I should say. But for me, yeah, Manly playing at Rookie should be a big game. With DCE back at steering the ship, will obviously go a long way in winning the game. And Jason Saab, of course, we can't miss him. He's been outstanding for him. He's a big, tall guy on the wing who can catch bombs. He can attacking kicks, defensive kicks, everything. He's a star player, and I'm sure he's going to get a lot of points this week.
And then you add the two Trbojevic brothers. We get Benny and Jake Trbojevic back.
So for me, Jake is the heart and soul of that club. He's going to add a lot of starch to the defence. With Ben obviously coming on the bench as well, he will definitely be a great addition for him. But again, the biggest inclusion for me is Jake, and it's good to have him back, particularly on the eve of Origin 3.
All right, well, let's look over the Roosters as well. Trent Robinson has kind of been having the same sort of nightmares that Seeves has had with injuries. There's been a lot of guys go down with the Roosters. It seems like their consistency is really starting to battle, but they need to pull it together for this game.
Yeah, have to. You just said it yourself. They're sitting 12 and 13. Both teams really need to get this win. They're both going to be very desperate for this game, but with the Roosters, it feels like everything's just going against them at the moment. Injuries,
it's a big loss,
massive loss in our opinion. And for me, like I said, everything's just going against them. You got players going down, chopping and changing in the back line, particularly in the halves as well. Not having a steady combination in the halves is definitely a problem in my my opinion. And obviously with the stuff with Jason Rolls now not being there, their defensive coach, things aren't going easy for the Chookies. And when you look at their team on paper, they should be doing a lot better than what they're doing at the moment, which is pretty disappointing. But they have to really aim up for a big win this week.
All right, and the Battle of the Birds, which way are you going?
Well, the Battle of the Birds, I'm going to go with your team, Manly Seagulls. I just feel like they've got the team. I feel like their go forward is a big, strong point in my opinion, and particularly against the Roosters. I feel like the Roosters are leaking a lot of metres, particularly coming out of yardage, and I'm feeling the Manly Seagulls this week.
Oh, I'm here for it. Thank you very much, Josh. All right, unmissable matchups taking place all weekend. If you want to see this match live, head to nrl.com/tickets. If you can't get to the game, you can watch it on Channel 9, Foxtel, Sky New Zealand or KO. Kickoff is at 4:05 p.m.